be in the same place. You have to be within meters of that mushroom, and your glance has to go to exactly the spot where that mushroom came out. And that mushroom might only be there for 1 or 2 days. And then suddenly you're there by some magical coincidence. For me, in that moment, I feel plenitude.
We know we're sitting here. We're not seeing a mushroom right now. What we do know is that fungi are just like loaded. They're everywhere. Here, in this leaf, there is mycelium growing. Maybe we see the mushroom because the mycelium is growing. So that would be the encounter.
Yeah.
And just today it's not here. But tomorrow we may be sitting here, and on this leaf there will be the mushroom. There are hundreds of fungal species in there, believe me or not. But you better believe me because that's the truth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they are like the mycelium, the spores. Here they are.
Yeah.
They are just like everywhere.
Getting up every morning and going out into the forest, going out to meet the deepest and wildest forest that exists. Is a reason necessary for this adventure? No, obviously not. We simply feel the impulse to enter the shelter of the trees and their ferns. That impulse, perhaps imprinted in our DNA, to feel for a moment part of that complex and enveloping place we call nature, the forest.
Sit down in a place, and suddenly you start getting really acute hearing. Your vision starts adjusting to different textures and different colors. Suddenly, insects pass, or a bird might come up very close to you. And we look up and the rain's falling, and we might see birds up on a tree looking for shelter, or we might find a nest. But when you stop and think, every single piece of the ecosystem in a forest is sustained by the essential role of fungi that are basically the firmament of life on Earth.
In a place like this, I'm alive. This is it's a cathedral. I mean, this is I will almost say my church or whatever. You get the idea. This is where you reflect on your place in nature, the place of human in nature. That's where we come from, and that's where we belong. So absolutely, when I'm in a mall, I don't belong there. I know since childhood, society trying to train me as a consumer, economic production and advertising everywhere. For some reason, I don't really understand what's going on.
Do you think humanity is moving away from the connection to the forest?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
It has taken hundreds of millions of autumns for the fungi kingdom to forge the ecosystem we know today, shaping the core of life itself as the mother of all things and places. This humble yet powerful mother is capable of breaking down and creating everything in her path. Destruction and creation come together in a realm filled with magic beneath the moist, dark earth of the forest.
Ok, no, este ligue me fascina. Mira, Jean-Marc. Ah.
Oh my God. These are cords.
They're cords. It's attached to the fungus. Esto es muy interesante. Esto no lo habíamos visto antes. Este tipo de hongo con estas, como con estos cordones miceliares metidos adentro de la turbera. Y esta es una colecta maravillosa. Maravillosa, porque está en todos los estados de desarrollo, pero está muy, muy adosado al sphagnum, ¿no? Y eso no es muy común. ¡Tetrapirgos!
Really?
Mira. Para ti, Jean-Marc, un tetrapirgos hermoso.
Oh.
You have a tetrapirgos.
Only one and a tiny one? Can we have more than one?
I'm I'll exchange.
Yeah.
Let me see the company.
You need your magic to find more than one now.
Never collected anything like this in peat bogs. I'm really excited because it's on the sphagnum. It even goes up on the moss that's on the tree trunks. And you know, you have to coincide on those 2 or 3 days that they're visible in the year or maybe in many years.
Yes.
So we are now coinciding with the macroscopic manifestation of a fungus that may not have been ever seen before by humans or described, right? So it really demonstrates that every mushroom is magic, every single one.
I love this mycelial cord at the base. I am excited.
Are you excited because of the mycelial cord or because of my campanella? What can fungi tell us? Why would we study fungi to understand what's happening?
Well, I think if you want to study evolution in like over a geological time, fungi are perfect because they've been here for a very long time. They are extremely diverse.
By understanding all these alternative ways of evolving, what do we learn about humanity or the planet?
We learn especially about the planet, yeah. I'm not sure what we directly learn for ourselves, except that we may learn that we're not necessarily the center of the universe and that the planet can really do without us. But in the meantime, we've become the architects of nature. I think the problem we're having now is that we only take from the nature. We don't really, it's not protecting. I think, or even conservation, protection, I think it's about respect. We just need to respect nature.
Yeah, respect.
Yeah,
It's about respect.
So I think what we're learning, I don't think we're necessarily learning about like human evolution per se by studying fungal evolution, but what it teaches us is probably to have a different understanding of how the nature functions and what is really our role or place and our role in nature. Because we're part of it. We're absolutely part of it.
Our modern human condition has progressively distanced our feeling of belonging to the forest, placing us in an extremely comfortable and easy place for existence. But for some reason, the easier and more comfortable our daily lives are, the farther away we are from the deep and wild forests, from Patagonia. Perhaps the farther away we are from ourselves.
We know that even spores can help to make it rain. We know that now. We know that the friction produced by spores can make it rain. We know that the wind that's blowing now is dispersing fungal spores all around this forest. The ganodermas are probably sporulating, and and this wind is driving them somewhere else. It's going to fall on a tree that might have another fungus. It might have armillaria on it. It's semi-decomposed, and these spores are going to land there, and they're going to colonize, and they're going to finish the recycling of that tree. We know that maybe the little mushroom that we see over there might soon be eaten by a chugao or a wedwed. Ultimately, when you take time to sit in a forest, you realize that fungi are the ultimate sustainers of life on Earth. They respond to everything. They drive everything.
Yeah, so when we walk in the forest and we look for, if we don't see them, we just like, oh, okay, they're not fruiting, they're not producing right now, but we know they're
there.
They're here.
Yeah.
Most of the places we know and frequent long for a deep forest past. Perhaps our house or the corner business was located in a place where various kingdoms coexisted in a network of life as complex as it was beautiful. Between giant trees, ferns, and colored mushrooms that adorn the shade of the high foliage, the humidity in the air and the smell of green leaves seduced any living being to enter and be part of this paradise. The flowers in the treetops provided a feast for insects that in turn fed the birds that created an incomparable musical environment.
Yo encontré una especie nueva de un hongo que se llama Favolascia o Favolascia. Y tengo solo una colecta y estaba en estas como raíces aéreas y creo que esta es una segunda colección y si es tenemos descripción de especie nueva. Do you want to see it with this? Hold on, let me take it off. Hay una colecta desde...
Yes, it is.
It is?
Yes, it
Woohoo!
is. A little bit pinkish.
Pinkish.
Yeah. Maybe 5, 6 alveola.
This one we need to describe. There's a sequence and now I can take some good pictures with the dissecting scope and a macro. And this is a new species for science.
There is less than 10 alveola.
Yeah. Ay, estoy tan contenta. I've been waiting for years to see it again. Chiquitísima, pero es una belleza. Tiene una cantidad, yeah, less than 10, but it's beautiful. Look, 1, 2, 3.
It is gorgeous.
Sí, tiene mucho ojito. Wow, there's a good picture here. Estamos mirando las fotos de una especie que encontramos arriba en las quilas. Es una especie muy, muy chica. Que felizmente aquí con fotografía profesional logramos ver en grande. Estamos ahora haciendo el proceso de medir y de describir para poder compararlo con una especie que encontré hace algunos años en un bosque y que creemos que es una especie nueva para la ciencia. Muy bueno. Este, en vez de tener lamelas, tiene forma de poros. No es un políporo, no es una oreja de palo, pero lo que me explicaba Jean-Marc es que aquí lo que ocurre es que son estrategias para optimizar la cantidad de esporas que se produce en la superficie fértil del hongo.
I think these are individual that cluster together and they form a secondary cap to bring them together
and to turn them around.
To be able to turn around better. Footing body morphology. So these people have
But we have already lost too much, and the absence of the forest is precisely the absence of our soul. Our nature is inside us, and nature is inside us. The trees fall, and with them we also fall vertiginously. But yes, if there is a reason to go back and enter the humidity of the forest, our centuries of distance from it have considerably atrophied our understanding of the forest. Today, it is necessary to redevelop the lost knowledge that we so desperately need.
When I'm in the forest and just sitting and understanding that they're everywhere, and it starts raining like it is now, I always think of the mycelium engorging and just how all these fungal species just start feeling and responding to rainfall, to wind, to a ray of light of the sun, and just this sentient being. The mycelium is sentient, and the mycelium is underneath every single footstep we take. Everything we touch has mycelium in it somewhere, of this sentient being that can respond to every aspect of life in a forest.
How could we take care of something we don't know, that we don't understand? That is why we are here. We are here for the adventure. We are here to understand the ecosystem and how all the organisms within the forest are related. We are here to find new species of fungi and discover the answers that they, with their nobility, offer us. But above all, today we are in the forest because that is precisely where we want to be.
So if you were to say to somebody, to a young teenager, what you've been doing in your professional life, like what has been the focus of your study?
having fun.
Okay, fun with mushrooms.